Most high income professionals don't have a money problem, they have a time problem. And the longer you wait to solve that problem, the more expensive it gets. Hey, if you're making great money but still feel like your investments own you, this episode's going to hit home. Kyle Stanley and I sit down and talk about his business of short term rentals. Kyle is the founder of one of the largest short term rental Facebook communities in the country with over 150,000 members. He also led a short term rental coaching program that had more than 500 subscribed members in it. That's not just an audience, that's influence, that's trust, and that's real operators choosing to learn from him. What I love about this conversation is not only hearing and learning from Kyle's expertise in the short term rental space, but also understanding and hearing his values as a family man and how his motivation from his family has changed everything. Included in our conversation, we're going to be talking about the hidden risk of doing nothing and how real estate, when done correctly, can quietly build freedom in the background. At East West Capital, our mission is simple: to help accredited investors reclaim their time through strategic real estate investments so they can focus on being exceptional dads, husbands, and leaders. And today's conversation ties directly into that. Let's jump into my conversation with Kyle now. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the Invested Fathers Fatherhood cave here. And I'm so thankful to have Kyle Stanley on the call today. Kyle, welcome to the Invested Fathers.
Yeah, Kenny, no, excited to talk about this and talk a little real estate life, dad life, all the things.
Kyle and I met probably about 3 weeks ago. So our friendship has blossomed pretty quickly here. We are both in the same mastermind kind of group around syndications and capital raising. Kyle has a background pretty steep in real estate, specifically the niche of Airbnbs. And I have sort of fallen in love with his personality and his charisma. And we connected very quickly just from the few calls we've had. So Kyle, I'll get out of the way here. Can you give us a little bit of what you're working on and a little bit about what you've done real estate wise?
Yeah, started in real estate 2019, was 31 years old at the time, was basically a failed entrepreneur. I use the word failed because I hadn't seen a six-figure business come to fruition yet. Most I ever made at that point was $75,000 right out of college. I was a sports anchor. And, real estate spoke to me at that point because I just saw that I could do something now that could be passed on to my kids later and could also make me money when I wake up and when I go to sleep and anytime without having to put in the effort. So, um, from 2019 to 2023, I essentially just tried a bunch of stuff. And the thing that stuck, like you alluded to, was short-term rentals, Airbnbs. I had a scarcity mindset when I went into real estate, and then I quickly adjusted to an abundance mindset. In other words, I wanted to keep this thing that I found in short-term rentals close to the chest because I didn't want to give up the golden goose, right? And I just was challenged by some mentors, by some friends who were really successful, who were like, you got to tell everyone. So I started talking about it on a podcast, started talking about it with my local market. And it was amazing what happened because instead of, maybe acquiring 5 to 10 short-term rentals over that time, I ended up managing a portfolio with a great team of 70 short-term rentals. And that turned into an opportunity to then sell that business for over $500,000. And I did that at the time because I just wanted to have more time with my kids. My first daughter was born in 2023, and I just wanted to kind of be in dad mode. I had also been teaching people how to do short-term rentals. So I said, hey, if I'm not going to be active in the business, I would like to probably not a good idea to teach it. So I sold that business as well. And so over the last couple of years, I've been just investing in the right deals. So I haven't stopped in real estate. We're at 25, 26 doors combined with ourselves, me, my wife and I, and investors. And yeah, we're very heavily investing now in Indiana and back in like full gear as of, I would say, September of 2025, because we're probably going to be needing to make a family change pretty soon in terms of where we live. And I gotta get back into the grind, and it's been fun though. It's been fun getting back on the horse and everything. And we're having fun in Indiana too.
Man, lots to unpack there. I love that you started this really 2019, correct?
Yep.
It's that real estate sort of mindset, like you said, and tried a couple different things. They weren't working. And then you found this sort of short-term rentals and then coaching and and tell me a little more about someone told you to record it and you were keeping it kind of close to your chest. What were the fears there and how did that sort of dispel? Was it just that one mentor?
No, it was, I mean, if you immerse yourself in real estate and you're around the right people, they all say the same thing, right? Like, pass it
The
on.
right people say the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, the right people. Yeah, everything has a ripple effect. Pass it on. If give, you'll get 10x in return. You just got to trust the process. And so, I mean, the big fear, right, is when you get into a room of all these high level real estate operators who own, some of them, three figures in terms of door numbers, over 100 doors, and you're like, hearing from them speaking on a stage how they're making cash flow of like $500 a door. And then I come in being this rookie and I can make $2,000 a door as a short-term rental. I was like, I I can 4 or 5x the speed of getting to where they're at if I just put my head down and go do this. And I don't want them to saturate the market, because if I tell them what to do, then they're going to go and do it and they're going to turn their 100 doors into short-term rentals. And that was, of course, anytime you have a good idea, right? Like, people were like, I want to sign an NDA before I talk to you about this. It's like, no, no, no. You need to just tell everyone what you're doing and the right people will be attracted to you and your mission. And in doing that, right, I told some of those people who owned a lot of doors, and a funny thing happened. They didn't tell me, oh, I'm going to go do that. They told me, what would it cost me for you to do that for me? And I was like, what?
Did you see that one coming?
Yeah, no, I didn't at all. So I was like, I mean, we could try. So, like, if you were to look at, if you even just go Google co-hosting on Airbnb, there's tons of videos. You might find some of my videos. You might find a lot of different people that are educating people on how to essentially manage other people's Airbnbs. I didn't know anything about that. Like, I just had an opportunity. Someone came to me and said, will you do this with me? I can probably give you like 15 doors in the next 2 months. And I was like, holy cow. I I think so. So I just started running numbers and I was like, yeah, I mean, if I can make $1,000 a door, not have to furnish the property, not have to, take all the risk of the roof leaking or anything like that, I can create a cash flowing business with very little risk. And if they make more than what they were going to make as a regular rental, then they're going to be happy. And so, you know, it was it was prime time as well, because it was right during COVID and people were scared of short-term rentals. And I was like, hey, it's mine are still cash flowing. And so it was just right timing, perfect storm in a good way. Uh, and the yeah, but it wouldn't have happened if I didn't share. If I just kept it close to the chest, I don't know what would have happened, but I wouldn't have near the success with that time in my life that I did.
You mentioned mindset stuff,
Mhm.
but we're all wired different ways. And I heard an analogy one time. This guy was in a car with two other dudes, and they all had raised like $10 million or $30 million, but they were all so different in regards to their personalities.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was okay. You don't have to be this. Not everyone has to be Kyle necessarily to make Airbnbs work, but what has made it work for you, at least in how you're wired, that you would attribute, an attribute to that?
That's tough. I like three things come to mind, and I think I'm just gonna pick the one that my friend complimented me on a couple months ago, and that it's just the ability to pivot. Like, when you hear a no, or you think you're so close to a breakthrough, and then it doesn't go the way that you thought it was going to go, that typically like crushes people, right? But I think people who have a really strong reason for why they're doing something, that becomes a moment for them of, and it became a moment for me of like, no, this isn't crushing. It's just, I got to pivot. I got to try something else. And that happens, I think, not just in real estate, but on a daily basis as an entrepreneur, right? Like, you were
Sure.
telling me how you owned rentals and now you're basically, right, just raising money for this fund. And it's like, you found something that suits your personality better, that suits your drive better, that suits everything that you're doing better. You like the idea of not having to be a landlord. I'm on the other end. I'm like, I actually love being a landlord. I love the chase. I love finding the deal. I love finding the tenant. I love creating the relationship with the tenant. I love knowing that if that I create a great relationship with that tenant, they might refer me other tenants, right? Like that's stuff that I've learned along the way, and I've learned really what I love and what fills my cup, and then all the things that I hate. And I either don't do those things or I outsource them, right? So, I mean, the ability to pivot is number one. Having a strong purpose is probably before that, but you hear that from everyone. And honestly, I just call it GSD mode, get done. Like if if I have a list of 10
Yeah.
things to do, I am going to get those 10 things done so fast because I hate things hovering over my head. I hate going on that family vacation. I hate sitting at the dinner table with family and thinking about I didn't get those things done. So I just don't procrastinate on stuff. I just go out and get you know what done.
That's that's really helpful. The fact, I mean, we're gonna have this conversation here, and whoever's listening, what is Kyle all about? It's so hard to get all of it, but I feel like if someone is seeing, okay, how do I respond to setbacks? How do I pivot? And I'm really bad at that. I'm always like one tracked until like it dies. And maybe that's someone else's superpower is they don't pivot, like they just keep going. But I think in most entrepreneurial ways, you get, 100 no's before something really takes off.
Yeah, and like just to clarify that too, Kenny, like there you know when like it's time to pivot. You'll get that experience. Like I think that's what scares a lot of people, and to those people that are either like in that season of life or haven't even gotten started in real estate yet because they're just worried about, well, what if it doesn't work? Like
Mhm.
I owned a business for 6 years in my mid 20s, and I should have shut that thing down after year 2. But pride got in the way, and I don't want to be a quitter crept into my mind and all that
Mm,
stuff. And it's like, no, like the faster you try something, the faster you know if it's going to work. And the faster you know that it doesn't work, the faster you can move on to the next thing. Like I started 3 new businesses this last year, and only one of them is still going because I just knew like at a certain point I had that experience of like I've started businesses before, and if it gets to this point and it's not creating the lifestyle or the finances that I need, it's just not going to work. It's time to go on to the next thing. Stop drowning in your own crap, right? Like just go on to the
mhm,
next thing. So, but it
mhm.
takes like actually trying stuff out to know like where is that breaking point.
Love it. All right, Kyle. Couple things on the family front.
Mhm,
First off, you mentioned, I think you said your daughter was born 3 years ago. So
mhm.
what's the fatherhood status? How many kids and the ages?
I got a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old. They're both home right now. The nanny's here, cleaner's here. My wife is at work. So, it's a work from home dad situation. It's fun.
At least for me, my son was 3 and I was working, 60 plus hours a week, and marriage wasn't going sort of as I thought it would. I was gone a lot, and there sort of came this like lightning bolt moment of like, what am I doing with my life?
Mhm,
Um, and I made some pretty drastic changes to sort of prioritize, I would say, my time.
mhm.
And that was one of the best sort of lightning bolts that hit me, and that was when I turned 30. So tell me, like, old Kyle, today Kyle, what has changed over the growing of a family and the kids and maybe your time?
Uh, Everything.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how to summarize that in a small bit, but I mean, you know, my I'll say this, my dad, when I was born, my dad was 54. So I had a very much older dad. One of the benefits of that, outside of the cons of not being able to play catch with him and not being able to like be super active with him, one of the benefits was he had started a very successful business at the age of 44, and so finances were in line. And I always remember friends of mine just being like, you can't go on that vacation with your family because my parents can't afford it, or, can't get the really nice brand new baseball glove or the nice baseball bat because my parents can't afford it. And I just remember, like, through those moments, massive appreciation of, like, wow, like, I have a very blessed upbringing, and I just wanna do the same thing for my kids. And in the beginning, right, like, and I think this is where a lot of dads make a mistake, and I've learned this through a lot of mentors and a lot of, just information out there. I think the mistake is you originally get into fatherhood thinking, I wanna give them all the things that I either did have that I loved or didn't have that I wish I had, and the better way to look at it is I wanna give them all the lessons that I wish I would've learned earlier, right? And that's to me, like, why I think it's really important, even if we're making 25, $30,000 of cash flow per month without having to even lift a finger, which we're not. We're trying to get there, but we're probably 50% of the way there. Um, I don't want to have my kids see, like, me wake up and, "What are we doing today? You wanna watch some TV? You wanna go for a walk? You wanna do," like, that doesn't show them that, like, true fulfillment comes from accomplishment. That shows them actually how to just become a lazy, spoiled brat. So,
Mhm.
I've really pivoted from in the beginning as a dad, I sold 2 businesses because I wanted to focus on family, and I wanted to focus on some passion projects, and I wanted to focus on my kids being able to see me more often, to where now I'm like, if they see me too much, they're gonna think that they don't have to work in their lives either. And they're gonna think that they don't need to, go to a job or go through tough times or go through trials and errors. And so I want to model those things that, I saw my dad frustrated. I saw my dad come home and he needed to have that beer at the end of the day. He was always awesome with us. He was never a abusive dad by any means, but he needed that unwinding. So I remember seeing those things, and I remember seeing the hard work, and I remember appreciating, like, okay, we get to go to Hawaii. We get to have these things because my dad works really hard, and I just want my kids to have the same thing. And at the end of the day, my dad showed me that it takes hard work to get this kind of lifestyle. It's not just something that you are born into or continue to just, like, feed off of the nipple of the past generations, right?
Mhm.
So, long-winded, right? Like, just modeling the behavior that you want and showing your kids how you succeed in this life through action, not through words.
I really liked what you said about the lessons because, yeah, teach them how to fish or give them a fish.
Yeah.
There's just that idea of like, how do you break the like you said, like carry on the good things, get rid of the bad things. Your dad obviously modeled, like you said, a hard work ethic that you have, I mean, done yourself. It sounds like you grew up taken care of, but you didn't turn out entitled and
Mhm.
you know looking for handouts from other people. It's like,
Just
okay,
remember,
you
you've
got to.
only known me for 3 weeks, so
Well, that's true. That's very true. No, but I mean, and your kids are 3, so you're very intentionally thinking about this now,
Mhm.
which I really applaud. And actually, I appreciate you saying what you did. You realize, like, I can't. The goal isn't to just sit at home with my kids all day,
Yeah.
which sometimes I'm, helping my wife or yeah, working with them, doing homeschool with them, and I ask myself sometimes, like, am I setting that? Are they? They're not seeing the stresses that I have, like to keep providing.
Mhm.
So I think it's really wise that you're in that boat now. Um, and your oldest is 3, and actually, let me kind of go into a little more of that personal life, though. You mentioned like just some of the health issues.
Mhm.
What are some of the struggles and the ways that you are repositioning some of your other parts of your life to give your family safe environment, or talk to me a little bit about what you're doing,
Yeah.
maybe moving, I think is what you said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, long story short, my kids both have a rare genetic condition. It's my fault, but the term is PCD, and essentially they don't really do well with breathing on their own or getting rid of mucus on their own, so they have to be medicated. And we live in Fresno, California, which is like the worst, second worst place in the U.S. to live if you have breathing conditions. So yeah, I mean, we want to stay close to family, and we want to be in a place that they can thrive. And unfortunately, that means, like, near the water in California, and that's going to be fun as a lifestyle, but it's not going to be fun when you see the bills at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just like I was talking to a friend yesterday, and he told me like, "Hey, I bring home after expenses $4,500 a month right now. What can I do to get into real estate?" And I asked him, "Well, what's the goal?" He's like, "If I could just get that to $6,000 that I'm bringing home, then like I'd be super happy." And I was like, "Well, then you're just not like you're not dreaming big enough. Like you need to, if it would be nice to increase your overall net at 20 to 30% per month, like there's just nothing that's gonna you're once again, like, right, we're gonna see those no's, we're gonna see that rejection as a roadblock rather than a road bump. And so, like, for me, this has kinda gotten me back to, like, "All right, I gotta get uncomfortable again."
Mhm.
I've been too comfortable the last couple years. It's been nice going on vacations to Europe and Hawaii and not having to worry about money too much, and now it's like, "Hey, no matter if money is good or not right now, I have to make sure that this family is going to be able to exceed what we're about to turn into for, our monthly expenses."
Mhm.
And that's the stuff that has just kind of gotten me back into action, is just knowing like I gotta do this. I gotta make sure that my wife doesn't feel like she has to be at work. She loves work, luckily. She's at work 3 days a week right now, mainly because she just wants to. um
Mhm.
and but I there's been moments where I'm like, oh, I feel like old Kyle again right now, back to 2019 before I got into real estate, having to check the bank account and and doing the profit and loss for the month and not being super happy with where it's at. And I just want to be able to get to a place where I can say, "Hey, we don't need to double check before we go to that nice restaurant. We don't need to double check before we start a new, you know, savings account or investing account for our youngest to either go to college or as a retirement account." Like those are the things that I need to put my head down, work, grind to make sure that our family has all the options that they need. And that's the thing, right? Like I, I don't need I've been called lazy by a guy who makes $5 million a year because I don't work 80 hours a week. I'm like, first of all, I don't want to work 80 hours a week. Second of all, I don't need $5 million a year. I'm going to take my Sundays off. Okay. Um, but second of all, like I know what I need to make for my family to live the lifestyle that we want. We don't need the Lamborghini. We don't need the private jet. We don't need the every single month we're going on a new 5-star hotel vacation. Just want to be able to say yes to all the things that are going to make our kids better, make our family better, make my wife and our marriage better. That's the stuff that's driving me right now.
I think we could actually park here for a little bit because there is that idea of like, what is the goal? What is the perfect? Is it margin? Is it more margin? Is it, like you talked about that guy who
Mhm.
bringing $5 million a year, but he's, somewhat selling his soul to the man there with 80 hours a week. And I just talked to the guy just now, and there's this idea of like, just put your head down for 6 months and get this thing done and store. But for you, how would you direct, and it sounds like you have some mentors that have also been were working with you. Has there been any changes in that goal setting for you as the family has maybe gotten a little more involved in your life? And what are the goals right now per se in regards to I know this might sound weird, but like what you're chasing? Like
Yeah.
what is it for you?
Yeah, I mean, goals change on almost a quarterly basis for
Right.
me. Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first got into real estate, my goal is to just exceed my monthly expenses, which was like $3,000 a month.
Right.
And then it was like, okay, now can we replace my full-time income, which was only like $6,000 a month?
Mhm.
And then it was like, hey, we've done that. And then COVID happened, by the way, and I was making 10K a month at that point, and I freaked out, and I had this moment of like, wait a second. Like, I'm single. I house hack, so I literally have no expense at the place that I live. I was just a year ago wanting to make 5,000 to 6,000 a month, and I'm making 10,000 a month, and I'm worried that it might go back to 5,000 a month, where a year ago I would have been blessed to be at $5,000 a month. Like just those moments where you got to check yourself and be like, what? Just because I'm not progressing towards a goal, does that mean that I'm actually failing? No, not really. It's just that you adjust your goals. Um, Then when I met my wife, I was close to $20,000 a month, and I was like, "Okay, now I feel like I can actually support a family. I can get the house, I can get I can send the kids once we have kids to daycare, I can do those things." And I'm taking you through the timeline because, right now, really what where I went to for the last 2 years was I knew what our monthly expenses were as a family, and I just wanted to make sure by selling our businesses that we would still be meeting those expenses, and we did, but we went in and had another kid, and then put this first one in a daycare, and I'm like, "That's more expensive." So, I mean, when you say, "What am I chasing?" I'm chasing the yeses, like I said earlier, and that's basically, call it 30,000 of passive income per month is kind of what we're chasing right now.
And this show definitely has a theme of, sort of buying back your time,
Mhm,
creating margin, and how are you sort of investing to make that passive income.
mhm,
So like your day to day is, hey, I'm going to buy this another building
mhm,
and it's going to produce this much. So like there's like all these, you could think of it like little businesses that have grown. Like
mhm.
you said, you got like 25 now. So syndications has been one of the pushes, or not pushes, but services, I guess, that I offer through the show. And that idea of, hey, I'm going to put my money here and it's going to work for me so I don't have to work as much.
Yeah.
So, and you actually have been, you have not syndicated yourself, but you have obviously used a lot of investors and private money lenders. That might be a venture for you business wise. Is that right?
Uh,
In regards to syndicating to do more Airbnbs.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, just to do more deals, right? Like, I mean, yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, that's our big push right now is raising money to do more deals. Yeah, we do short-term rentals, we do some long-term rentals, but not usually. Typically, our version of a long-term rental is gonna be, a student rental where they're paying $900 a room. Market rent
Yeah.
might be $1,800. We're being able to rent out a three-bedroom for $2,700.
Yep.
Some master leases with affordable housing and nonprofits. We also have done some midterm rental stuff. Every deal that we come across, right? We have a really good idea of our market and what it's going to pencil as. But yeah, I mean, because of that, people like investing with us because we know our market. We know that we can give people some guaranteed returns and their money's going to grow with us. So I always say, like, it's a lot easier to raise money when you have the deals and you have the
Yeah.
knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, two things, both somewhat off the beaten path questions, but could you share, and I don't know if it's private, so I could edit this out if I need to, but that conversation you had last week with that lady that maybe like changed a lot of your potential business income. Is that still like under wraps?
Yeah, kind of under wraps, but I mean,
Ok,
that's fine. I don't mind talking about it because I mean, again, pivoting, right? Like, if it
I'm just
doesn't
thinking one clip that might come out is like, I didn't like, this was a question mark in my mind. I did this thing and it sort of changed everything. So it was like, just you walking through that
yeah,
pivot or like,
I mean, when you own real estate, you are forced to get into action, right? Like, you have to figure out, how do I make this a cash flowing machine? And for me, Airbnbs have always been a really great way, but I also know that there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of question marks, right? Like, what if a guest breaks a couch and your insurance doesn't take care of it? Then you got to pay for a new couch. And what if it gets worse than that? What if there's vacancies? What if there's saturation? What if there's legalities, right? There's just a lot of things that make it a great cash play, but also a higher risk play. And so, again, passive income, reliable income, that's what I'm after. So the question is, how can we advance our business in Indiana without owning 50 Airbnbs, but maybe 10% of our portfolio is Airbnbs and the rest is we've looked at these other ones, student rentals, that's going well. Long-term rentals, if you buy them in the right place, that can go well. And so as I've just continued to know people and talk to people and research and talk to ChatGPT and all this stuff, I've really fallen in love with affordable housing right now. And this is something that is fun for me because it's helping the community. It's helping certain people in certain stages of life that need help in regards to maybe it's sober living, maybe it's homeless, transitional living, maybe it's foster care. But the great thing is I'm providing the housing, I'm not doing the operations if I'm gonna do this, and so you're kind of alluding to someone that I, am still potentially partnering with, but, you know, the overall idea, right, is if you can find a government-funded thing that is related to affordable housing, well, you might have a rental that is going to be market rent $1,800 that you can now rent for 2,500, maybe even 3,000 to these government funded programs because newsflash, these people are profitable too. Okay, they're not just out here giving free housing. They're actually making money. But also the second part is again, it's something that's actually helping the community, and that provides to me a lot more of like, okay, cool, we're doing something really good for people. We're not just providing a sick experience on college game day to people who have a bunch of money and don't care because they're going to go party at our place. We're actually providing potentially something to people that need it, that need a second chance. And so, you know, I'm excited overall just about that push, whether it ends up being as big as I think it will be or not. You're catching me kind of the in the infancy stages. We'll have to check back in a year from now and see how it's going.
That's great. I really like that. I've heard that even with like apartment complexes, like, yeah, we're trying to create a community and something where people can interconnect, have some relationships, fight loneliness, things that are kind of make you feel like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm helping somebody, not just trying to get my paycheck here.
exactly.
Um, and I love that you've even mentioned earlier, like I love being a landlord to build these type of relationships and, help these people. And I see that. And I think that's kind of a rare breed, honestly. There's I would say most landlords have I wanna sub everything else out, and I wanna keep myself completely removed from any one person. I just wanna, get that mailbox money. So, thank you for sharing all that, Kyle. Kind of a buzzword that's been happening with me recently is that word legacy.
Hmm.
And, you talked about your dad, um, the 3-year-old at home, instilling some of these traits, but when you think about legacy, what you're leaving, you know, to your kids or the mark you're making on this world, has that been something you've been thinking about? And if yes, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like battle with this because like I hear a lot of people answer this question really well, right? Like they get on podcasts and like, this is my legacy that I want to leave behind. And I'm just like, I don't have that clear of a vision of it. I'm not like out here trying to like take over the world or make my kid the next Tiger Woods, you know? So I just I don't know. I mean, my dad, when he passed, had 400 people at his funeral, right? And I just remember thinking about that, and the reason is because he left a mark on most people that he did life with or did business with. And if I were to pass today, I don't think I'd have 400 people at my funeral. And I think that is something that I'm just continuing to strive for is not the acceptance of other people, but the like, hey, people always say, right, you people remember you for how you made them feel, not for what you did. And that's something that I'm always striving for. I can be a little too much in business, a little too direct, a little too this and that. And I would love to be able to just continue to leave a lasting impact on people plus I mean, firstly, my family, but of course, people where they feel something great from the interactions that they had with me. And so I mean, that's so simple and so like not revolutionary, but like that's kind of just where I'm at.
No, I think that was a great answer, and I totally put you on the spot. I didn't prep you for that question, so that
How
was a very
dare
raw,
you?
really. That's Kyle. Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today. I feel more hopeful and ambitious after this conversation in regards to my business, and I hope that the audience, whatever walk of life they're in, you have got to shut out the idea of I'm stuck or this is just what it is. There's always opportunities to grow. Every new relationship and I think interaction is an opportunity to not just grow your business, but I'd say grow your impact, like you
Mhm.
just mentioned in that legacy answer. So, Kyle, thank you for joining us today. If our audience wanted to catch more of what you're up to, give us the best way to track you or even reach out to you?
Yeah, just my Instagram is the best, at Fearless Kyle. From there, you can DM me, whatever you wanna do, but that's just the best way for sure.
Okay. Kyle, thank you so much for joining the Invested Fathers, man. Signing out. Thank you for everyone listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, Kenny.
Hey guys, before we wrap up, I want to speak directly to the high income professionals listening right now. If you're earning well, if you're paying heavy taxes, and if you're tired of feeling like you're working harder every year just to maintain momentum, you don't need another side hustle. You need some strategic ownership. Few times each year, we have multifamily investment opportunities open to accredited investors. These investment opportunities are designed around professional asset management, conservative underwriting, and some tax efficient breaks over the different deals that we have. Some are development plays, some are value add plays. And I'm just around a lot of deals in general, even locally. If building legacy wealth while protecting your time is important to you, I'd love to have a conversation. There's going to be a link in the show notes that you can book a call or request an investment summary with me on maybe a current deal or fast deals. There's no pressure, just clarity into what it is that we offer. Also, if you're not ready to invest, but you want to understand how high income dads are using real estate to reduce taxes and build some long term freedom, download our free guide. There's going to be a link in this show notes. It's called Own Apartments While Doing No Work. Kind of gives you a high level overview of syndication, some comparatives on do it yourself real estate investing, like buying rentals or doing flips, syndications, group investing, and then just stock market stuff. Hope this helps you guys. And thanks for listening to today's show.